This is the Heel to the Face podcast. Brandon, WrestleMania 37 to Los Angeles. Are you going to Hollywood? The Heel to Face podcast going as a team next year?
I might need a loan for it. The real question is, I know how you are with tickets. Are you going to buy the tickets before you go to LA, or are you going to do it at LA?
I don't know. We'll see, obviously, what's going on with WrestleMania. Then it's still 13 months away. You got a lot of time to save up. I know you got a baby at home, but like I said, you got some time to save up. WrestleMania is going to Hollywood, but this year it's going to Tampa Bay. Heel to Face podcast starts now.
So silence your cell phones, hold your applause, and tune into the truth.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
Getting beat up by 9 guys in Syracuse, to me, there's not a whole lot of shame in.
From the 315 to the world, this is the Heel to Face podcast.
The cream of the crop. Wow, man, freaked out.
Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Heel to the Face.
I said, are you ready?
From Armory Square in downtown Syracuse, New York, let's send it now to Brandon and Jared.
Bad luck seems to be my middle name. They might as well tag me up with my buddies from Syracuse.
This is the Heel to the Face podcast. Kind of off the quick hit, we were talking WrestleMania going to Hollywood for the first time since WrestleMania 21 was at Staples Center. And kind of a weird thing, I was watching the Raw after WrestleMania 2000 the other day, the one that was at the Anaheim Pond, now known as the Honda Center. The Raw the night after was at the Staples Center, only about 6 months after that place opened. Probably the first WWE event to be at the Staples Center, which makes me question why WrestleMania 2000 was in Anaheim and not actually at the Staples Center. That would have been awesome because brand new arena in LA. What a way to open up WWE style, as they will be doing with SoFi Stadium, opening it up WWE style just a few months after it opens up. But we got this year's WrestleMania to worry about. We got Brandon the Icebreaker Clements. We got myself at K-Rock Jared. And this is the Heel to the Faces. Before we hit WrestleMania, we are approaching WrestleMania-esque in Saudi Arabia. We'll get to that in a little bit as our main topic. But this week, we start things off Monday Night Raw. Shayna Baszler doing her best Gangrel impression.
Yeah, that was interesting. I wasn't expecting the fangs to come out, and what was really cool about that whole segment was Becky drives herself to the hospital in the ambulance, and then comes back, cuts a quick little promo when she comes back. You know, what are your thoughts on this build so far? I think it's kind of intriguing.
Well, like, it's definitely not accidental blood because, you know, accidental blood, first off, would, and I've seen it before. We've seen it recently, you know, in the Saudi Arabia shows a few times with Goldberg and Undertaker and stuff like that. But when she took the bite and obviously her face was covered in the blood, even though on the YouTube videos they posted after it, they made it black and white to kind of add to the effect that, you know, we didn't see this coming at the same time. I mean, you're not covered in that much blood. It was like a blood capsule. She must have bit into a blood capsule.
Oh, that's exactly what
it was pretty phone. It was too much. They brought back blood for the first time in a long time, but did it a little too much.
Yeah, I think they went. Yeah, exactly. They went over the top, but again, I think the way creative was doing it is to really get their point across and to build the new storyline here. I think this rivalry is going to be interesting because I mean the man's on fire as always, and Shane has been top dog in NXT for a while. You know she's the champion for a while. The question is now with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair and that whole thing going, and believe me, I think it's kind of dumb to have started the Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley thing prior to NXT, meaning Charlotte should have probably just kept her mouth shut, should have just kept on doing things, let Rhea Ripley have her match this weekend at NXT TakeOver Portland against Bianca Belair, then come out. And because now that kind of, to me, gives away, obviously, what's going to happen. Well, yeah, it's going to tip the hand, and what's going to happen is, which we'll get to later, is Bianca Belair is not going to win the match. I think that's what's going to happen. So I think they should have just let the match happen, and then maybe at the event, after the match concluded, or on Monday Night Raw afterwards, or NXT that week, then Charlotte Flair could, pull out, her challenge, because, I mean, there's still a lot of time. Even if they waited till this week, that still gives it a month and a half build. Well, yeah, of course it does. But here's the thing too, and I mean, we'll get to our picks later for NXT TakeOver Portland. Regardless, even if they were going to have this match anyways set up between Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, I don't think Rhea was losing anyway. She's too much on fire regardless. So I don't.
It just wasn't. Charlotte could have just stayed out of it until then.
Build it a little bit.
But let her match with Bianca Belair happen first.
Well, yeah.
Let us be curious of what could happen, of who could be the NXT champ, because we don't see the future. We're worried about what's in front of us before we move past it.
I do like how they did it before the announcement, like where she showed up on NXT and like Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. They took her down. That was cool. I mean, I thought that was cool. I would have liked to seen how things played out with Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, because obviously there was a little part there where Rhea and Bianca went after Charlotte. So maybe they, for some odd reason, they could leave the card open. Not. I don't think they really would, but they could leave it open where Bianca versus Charlotte. I mean, that could have been a possibility. I mean, Bianca's got enough stock. I mean, she's very popular in the NXT arena. So, I mean, it's a possibility. It could have been a possibility, but obviously when you put all the chips out there, you already know what's going to happen. Charlotte, it's going to be Charlotte and Rhea. Rhea's definitely retaining.
Rhea is the champ of NXT. That makes her official NXT property. My question to you, though, Shayna Baszler, is she an NXT superstar right now? Or because that's the thing now. We'll talk about this in future episodes about where NXT currently stands between Raw and SmackDown. Is it a third brand? Is it really the developmental anymore? We'll talk way more about that in the future, but right now, I guess, before it was more clear cut when Shayna Baszler showed up on Monday Night Raw, I guess in the past, or any of these people showed up, that was her call up. Ember Moon, you heard her music the night after WrestleMania in New Orleans. She's on Raw now. Shayna Baszler, is she on Raw now?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go on a limb and say yes. I mean, I think she got a promotion. I think it's been long overdue, to be honest. I think this is a subtle way to get her on the program. So I mean, now she's got a rivalry building with Becky Lynch. So I think she is up. My curious thing is what's going to happen with her two goons, Jessamine Duke and Sharina. Are they going to come up with her? Obviously, they don't really wrestle. I mean, I don't really see them. I don't see them ever wrestling. They're just kind of like her security, so to speak. So what does that mean for them?
Well, I mean, they could have that same spot on Monday Night Raw with her.
I don't know. To me, I feel like they still have things to develop, because obviously, if WWE is not putting them in matches on TV, or I don't even know if they're even performing. They're probably performing in live events, but I don't see them on TV performing. So I mean, where does that go? Where do they stand?
Well, I mean, they could be a little like AOP, I guess, is your best.
I mean, AOP is pretty good right now. I think but the thing with AOP is, they were just in matches literally this week.
Yeah, no, I understand, obviously, but I mean, I don't want to really say there was ever a time where they weren't performing, but I mean, whatever they were doing with Shayna Baszler in NXT, they can essentially follow that up with her on the Monday Night Raw, because that's part of her character.
Yeah, it's part of her shtick. I'm just curious to see how it's going to play out, because obviously the other two individuals, I don't, from a wrestling perspective, from an in-ring perspective, I don't think they're ready to obviously be on the main roster. There's a lot more other individuals that would obviously get called up first. So, I mean, if they're not in a wrestling capacity, then yes, I think to your point, I think they will, they'll come up as a non-wrestling. They'll kind of be the security, so to speak. I mean, it'll be curious. I do think Shayna got the promotion, so I think that's where we're at this point.
So, keep it on the women's world. Bayley, the current SmackDown Women's Champion, she defends her title this Friday night against Carmella. She doesn't have a WrestleMania opponent, I guess, in front of her at the moment or anything like that. How do you see this women's title match going down on SmackDown? You see Bayley just easily defending?
Oh yeah, it's not even a question. I think Bayley's going into WrestleMania as the champion. I don't see that changing, especially we're at this stage in the game where we're very close to we're in WrestleMania season. WrestleMania is just not that far away, just a short time
50
away.
days away.
Yeah. So I mean, they're not going to take the belt off Bayley. As much as I don't really like this heel gimmick, I'm not really a fan. I thought I'd like it, but it's just not, to me, it's just not gelling. That's why I think it's concerning. I think that's why WWE won't put John Cena in that role, because can you really put John Cena as a heel?
No, I mean, we'll find out. He's going to make his return to SmackDown the night after Super Showdown on February the 28th, most likely to obviously announce some sort of a WrestleMania plans. He's not just showing up for no reason. Happens to be Tampa is where he currently lives, so shouldn't be too difficult. But kind of moving on from John Cena, Tampa, John Cena's ex-fiance, currently engaged to somebody else, and her sister, rumored to be inducted into this year's WWE Hall of Fame, the Bella Twins, as well as Thunder Liger.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Thunder Liger, well deserved.
He had one
yes.
match in NXT, I think, against Tyler Breeze at the first ever TakeOver event, but his WWE time is pretty limited. But
I could have swore I thought he was with Sami Zayn too.
I'm not.
Maybe not. I definitely Tyler Breeze. I could have swore he was in a match with Sami Zayn, but
you know, he might have had a television match or an NXT match. His only TakeOver appearance, I guess.
So is that like the rule? As long as you show up once to a WWE sponsored event, you can be.
Well, I don't even think you need to be that, because I think if long as you're currently owned by WWE, because there's lots of people who've never stepped foot in WWE.
Well,
Sting was, as soon as his contract, I guess, was owned by WWE, he could be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Well, here's the other thing too, though. Like Liger, he's made his name over in Japan, so that's where I was kind of wondering, because he's very famous.
Yes, he's not.
in Japan.
I guess he's got some he does have some WCW time, but yeah, you're right. He's not like a.
How much WCW time do you think? I don't think he had that much time, did he?
You're right. He's not somebody who is currently under the banner of something
That's
the
what I mean.
WWE owns. Meaning, yes, he is kind of like an independent in that regard. Of them putting him in the WWE Hall of Fame, even though he didn't wrestle too much in the WWE or under anything the WWE owns.
And to take you back a little bit, he's been in the business for many, many years. I think there's a picture that I saw fairly recently of him and Vince in like the 80s. So like, he's been around a long time.
So I mean, maybe he's got some more. Maybe he's got some house show matches under his belt. They do have the legacy wing, which is full of people who obviously, again, I don't really know how close of ties they've had to WWE. I think the legacy wing, going off on a little tangent here just quickly, is really dumb. I think these people should probably get their own, the worst part is I think that it's celebrities get a proper induction, but then they'll pair together like 6 legit people who in the world of sports are important. We're talking, Hackenschmidt, Gorgeous George, and they'll just throw them into like a in memoriam quick 5-minute thing and then give Snoop Dogg the podium. I think that's a little annoying.
Yeah,
if you're going to do a quick like thing where you're just going to put out 5 names, do that with the celebrities. Just be like boom, 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 boom. That's fine.
Yeah.
But don't treat, people like George Hackenschmidt like he's just some sort of like, oh yeah, and he had some contribution. We'll throw him in with like 65 other names into this year's class. And so we save time here for Drew Carey though to give us a speech. Just say.
See, I agree. I agree with you. I'm
not against celebrities being.
No, if they've contributed in like some cool moments, like Pete Rose did with Kane, like, and that's cool.
I guess I never really agreed with them having a Hall of Fame plaque. They have the Warrior Award that they give away every single year. Why can't they just give them like something like that? It doesn't actually have to be the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. It could just be an acknowledgement.
But your contributions to WWE.
Yeah,
somebody say
like broadcasters have their own form of being in the Baseball Hall of Fame. They don't get a plaque like Roberto Alomar or Cal Ripken Jr.
No, it's like a third party. So
it's just like an award you get. But
yeah,
that's a topic for, again, another day. Focusing on WWE at the current moment. And another woman, before we get off the woman, Ronda Rousey. Stephanie McMahon has stated some press outlets that she expects Ronda Rousey to be back under any specific timetable, but she's got some things to take out, and she fully expects and cannot wait for her to come back, and she knows that Ronda Rousey, her time in WWE, if you were scared, is not done, and she will be back in the fold, going back after that championship belt. When exactly, not sure, but she expects her back in a timely manner.
It's whatever Ronda wants, really.
Yeah,
I think we all know that.
Let's quickly, this weekend, WWE, NXT, but WWE, let's be serious.
It's under the banner.
NXT TakeOver Portland, the first TakeOver on a Sunday night that has not piggybacking off a WWE weekend.
I like it. It's very unique.
So I hope it's still a shorter pay-per-view. I still hope it's, in the traditional time. It starts at 7 o'clock. I don't want it to be going on until 11:30. But either way, looks like a decent card. The Broserweights, Broserweights, right?
Broserweights, yes.
Broserweights, who just won the Dusty Classic. They are taking on in the NXT Tag Team Championship match, Undisputed Era. Looking forward to that match a lot. Who you got winning?
I got the Broserweights, man. I think the Broserweights are going to win.
I think it's time for new tag team shows. I think it's time. I think Undisputed Era had all the belts. That was a good minute, but it's time to start slowly getting away from that.
And here's the thing, though. The Broserweights are getting a lot of airtime with their travels from NXT to Portland with the car. Now,
I saw the little vignettes.
Those are cool. I like those little segments with them, and I think they're very well over with the fans. I think they play it off each other, and the gimmicks. You got Pete, who's very serious, and then you got Mr. Riddle there. He's always laid back. It's cool to that's Pete having a great time. That's like his really happy face. Like it's like I think it's great. I think they play off each other well.
Yeah, the Odd
it's
Couple.
fun.
Yeah,
it's great. Oh, it's definitely the Odd Couple. They're tremendous. I think Undisputed Era, they've done a great job. I think this is what's going to happen. You're progressively going to see the titles change hands. Obviously, Keith Lee got the title recently from Roddy Strong. I think it's progressively what's going to happen is, I think the tag titles are going to be dropped by Fish and O'Reilly. And eventually, we'll talk more.
Let's go right to it now. The NXT Championship, Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa. Is he leaving with the belt?
I'm going to say this.
Or is Undisputed Era leaving NXT Portland goldless?
Here's the thing. That is going to be very tough. I'll go this way. I don't think they go. I don't think they're either. It's going to be 1-1. I don't know which way it's going to go. It's either they keep the tag titles and Cole loses, which I think it's going to be the other way. I think the tag titles are going to be dropped. I think Cole is going to retain his title. I think Cole will lose that title the WrestleMania weekend. I think that's where he's going to lose it. To be honest with you, I think what's going to happen is it's going to be a progression where Undisputed Era is losing their titles. They just lost North American title a few weeks back with the limitless Keith Lee. Mm-hmm. So they lost. He took the title. I think tag titles are next. And then at WrestleMania, you're going to see no gold Undisputed Era. And that tells me Undisputed Era gets the call-up.
All right. Speaking of gold and what Keith Lee took from Undisputed Era, he is defending the North American Championship against Dominic Dijakovic. Dijakovic. I got the Dominic part right. I mean, I'm familiar with the wrestler. Again.
Yeah, you know him as Dijak.
Yes. So, is Keith Lee? I think Keith Lee is retaining. I think his run is just starting. He's starting to get pretty popular. I don't think his time to get called up is ready.
No, I think that they need some names like that like Keith Lee down in the NXT roster and in the NXT arena. So I will say this though, this has a chance to be match of the night. I think these two put on great shows. They're both big men who do little guy things. So
I don't think Dominic's big. He's not big like Keith Lee though.
No. Here's the thing. Keith Lee is
round.
Is more
Dominic
round.
is more like
he's tall,
like a athletic.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Dijakovic is 6'7", 6'8". He's a big. So they're big in different ways, but they do little guy moves. That's what I'm looking forward to, and plus they have the power too.
I'm assuming what you're saying is the other match of the night caliber match is Johnny Gargano versus Finn Balor. I think that's probably what could easily steal the show, and I think
it'll be good.
I think Gargano's going to take the win. I saw Finn Balor take the win at Worlds Collide. I think Johnny Gargano's going to take the win because you just don't want to have Finn Balor come into NXT and just if he's going to fully be a part of NXT, he's got to integrate into NXT and take some losses. Here's
what's going to happen. I think you're wrong. I think Finn Balor wins. It's going to be another good match. I think this whole card is full of really good matches. The reason why I was talking Keith Lee and Dijakovic, I think it's an underrated match of the night. I mean, we already know what we're going to get out of Balor and Johnny Wrestling. I think we already know that's kind of a known commodity. And I think another match that we're pretty much going through them all anyways. I mean, Cole and Ciampa, that's going to be a hell of a match. I'm excited for that.
There's no stipulations, but I think overall it has a chance to be a pretty good match. The only match on the card that's really got a stipulation is Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox. I'm not too familiar with Tegan Nox other than the fact that I saw her at Worlds Collide attack Dakota Kai in the crowd, and then obviously they were both in the Royal Rumble as well the next night. But this is going to be a street fight. I'm curious. They're both small ladies.
Yeah, they're not big. I will say this.
It's got a chance to be entertaining. I feel like it's like a cruiserweight.
Here's
style.
the thing. Tegan Nox she's the girl that's had multiple knee injuries where she's like WWE loves her, but she's been getting hurt. She got hurt in the classic there, not the Mae Young Classic. Yes. She got injured in the Mae Young Classic. She's one of the favorites to win that year. I think it was a year or two ago. So she's really good. So, a lot of people are probably going to pick Dakota Kai on this. I think Tegan Nox is due for a big win, so I think she's going to win that match.
All right, and finally, we don't even need to say it. Rhea Ripley is defending her belt against Bianca Belair.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to say it now. I got it in front of me. I'm going to say it now. I hold this up because it's a grand prediction I am making. I'm on this piece of paper. I swear to it. she is actually going to lose the match by disqualification to Bianca Belair because Rhea Ripley is going to get Rhea Ripley is going to be the winner or Charlotte Flair is getting involved. Charlotte Flair is going to get involved. Bianca Belair is going to be the winner by disqualification.
Interesting.
So I feel that this is not going to be a clean finish. I feel that Bianca Belair is not going to lose straight up to Rhea Ripley. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that is my prediction of the night.
I'm just going to
forget predicting just matches themselves. My prediction of the night is Charlotte Flair cost Bianca Belair.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you're wrong, and I think it's going to be a clean finish.
All right. So that's our NXT TakeOver Portland this weekend. Should be interesting. It's an interesting location, a place that WWE doesn't go too often. You might have not known this, actually, but it wasn't until 2006, I believe, that they held an Unforgiven pay-per-view in Portland, that it was actually illegal, or one of the, whatever you call not being allowed there. But WWE was not allowed in the state of Oregon. I think that was the last state that they weren't allowed because they had the no fight thing going on, and WWE was trying to obviously promote that they weren't UFC, that they were more entertainment.
Yeah.
Finally got the bill to be signed, the laws to be passed. And there was a time in this just in this decade alone, or this century alone, getting old now, the century alone, that
very true.
Oregon and WWE weren't allowed to mix. But
So so they were last. They were pretty much last of the fight game.
they were.
So
I don't know about the fight game when it comes to UFC, but last when it comes to WWE.
No, okay. So
Because I believe there was a time where WWE had to actually prove themselves because there were people out there who didn't know the difference.
here's an interesting. I'm going to take another spin on that. So Oregon was kind of last in the WWE part, as you're saying, and they were first on the legalization of marijuana. It's a very interesting.
Were they first, Oregon?
They were one of the first. Yeah,
I know
Colorado's up there.
Yes.
Oregon was up there too. They're. I mean, you might have to check that.
Again,
But
I don't think that they were necessarily against these kind of things. It's just things that they just never got around to.
Well,
turning over.
I mean, if
it wasn't high on their priority list to get WWE Raw.
If you can make some money, why the hell not?
Yeah. Well, it just wasn't high on their priority list. And to be honest with you, it's not Madison Square Garden. I don't think Vince was knocking down the door to get into Oregon.
I gotta say,
any cost.
I like how you worded that high. That's well said there.
So the topic this week of discussion that I want to bring up is simply this: WWE is about to have another show in Saudi Arabia in just about a week and a half. It'll be the 6th show in Saudi Arabia. The Greatest Royal Rumble, Crown Jewel 2018, Super Showdown 2019, Crown Jewel 2019, and Super Showdown will actually, be the 5th show of what is a very long time that WWE will be involved in Saudi Arabia. Now, we've gone back and forth as a podcast and talked to many fans out there as well, and it's pretty unanimous that most people treat the Saudi Arabia shows like house shows. They say, that they're just house shows. Brandon's brought up many times that the matches don't have the proper builds to them.
Yeah,
but
100%.
the more that I start to look at it without, and I go to WrestleMania every year and I want that event to be special. I spend a lot of money to go to WrestleMania. I love WrestleMania. It gets bigger and bigger every single year. I don't want it to ever be tainted. I don't want SummerSlam to be the new WrestleMania or any of that nonsense. But it's hard to really ignore that these events in Saudi Arabia are WrestleMania-esque. And one of the big things that kind of really clicked to me was when I was at the Royal Rumble and they played a commercial on the television screen that talked about there's only one event, one spectacular, one huge night. And I'm obviously just thinking this is a countdown to WrestleMania. This is a WrestleMania commercial. There's only one time a year that the legends collide, one place, one time, blah, 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 Super Showdown. And I understand that the reason we treat it like a house show, I guess, is because we can't go to these shows. I mean, with all intents and purposes. They're not really, they're open to the public, but they're just not easily for us to go to.
Who's really going there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's most of the people in Saudi Arabia that are going. There's not many that are traveling to the event.
So here's my take on it. Why are we considering it anything else but a house show? Here's the thing. I know you're getting the big names and whatnot, but there's no build. Number one, and number two, you've mentioned this on previous episodes. Mm-hmm. Is this ruining WrestleMania's? The glamour of it, so to speak, like the glitz and glamour of it? Or
well,
what?
I understand that it loses out on a few things that WrestleMania has. Obviously, WrestleMania has the women's matches, but let's be serious. That's a new thing. Go back 5 years ago, and we would have been more glad to have a match that had no women's matches on it because the women's matches at WrestleMania, like if we could have had a show where whatever was on the kickoff show replaced the over-the-top, Snooki match or whatever, that would have been great, actually. The less women's matches back 10 years ago, the better.
Yes.
I understand the women's matches are good now, but, I mean, overall, here's what I look at. I look at these events are in stadiums. They're one of the only 2 or 3 events of the year that are in front of 60,000 plus people. WrestleMania is always telling its investors, and when they went to LA and they sat at the podium, all the things I guess that they promote to WrestleMania about the spectacle, the grandeur of the event itself. These events have had in Saudi Arabia. They've had the unique sets. They don't just, come out of the tunnels. They've got the fireworks. They've got the pyro. They've got the big names. They've got the length of time. These aren't an hour and a half events. These are 5-hour events. I guess, they obviously lack a few little things. The entrances haven't been the greatest. They're the most unique like they do at WrestleMania. But I mean, I'm just saying.
The pyro.
I mean, they have the pyro. Yeah, they have the pyro.
Pyro's WrestleMania-esque.
Yeah, the fireworks that they throw out of those stadiums are pretty good.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And when you talk about the build to the matches, a good example of this is the build for a lot of WrestleMania matches when it comes to the legends is pretty similar, meaning Goldberg is going to be facing The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, at Super Showdown for the Universal Championship. Now, the build was simple. Goldberg just came out and said, Bray Wyatt, you're next.
Via satellite, of course.
Okay. Now, if this was going into WrestleMania, I feel it would have been the exact same way. John Cena is a good example. He's coming to SmackDown in 2 weeks, the night after Super Showdown. Whoever he's facing at WrestleMania, it'll probably be the same way he comes out. I remember a couple years ago, The Undertaker, when he had the rematch with Triple H. He came out on Monday Night Raw. He didn't say a word. He pointed to the sign, and I think we saw Undertaker maybe one more time before WrestleMania signing the contract. That was the build for Undertaker and Triple H.
I mean, honestly, Undertaker's
John Cena and Undertaker at WrestleMania in New Orleans. The build for that was nothing.
The Undertaker thing was awful.
Yeah,
with the Cena.
So what I'm saying is, when you say that there's no build to these matches, there's a lot of WrestleMania matches that have no build. It's simply just legend comes out and says, Goldberg says this person. I mean, Goldberg, when he fought Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, when he made his big return, that was it. He came out, said, Brock Lesnar, you're next.
I mean,
there was no build to that, but yet it was still the main event of Survivor Series. So, I mean, and I look at it like this.
It wasn't the main event of WrestleMania.
Correct. But, I mean, I'm looking at some of these matches that were on the cards. I mean, DX, Shawn Michaels and Triple H took on the Brothers of the Destruction, Kane and The Undertaker.
Which I forgot about. I can't believe I forgot about that. Yes. That's how forgettable these shows are just forgettable to me. That's
Goldberg versus Undertaker, that only happened once ever. Happened at one of these events. And I think what really set these events over is actually the last one, when it was Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt. And I will come out and say this because I'll be honest, the matches themselves do have that kind of, yes, it's legends, but I mean, even the good guys like AJ Styles don't put on the best matches over there. They're nothing really that exhilarating that I've seen.
They're just basic
But
matches.
I will say this much. Seth Rollins versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and where The Fiend became the champion for the very first time, the title changed hands in Saudi Arabia. That was probably, since Bray Wyatt has returned under a new character, his best match.
Well, yeah, because he really hasn't had any real matches.
Exactly.
It's been domination.
So now that we are starting to see real matches, titles change hands. Remember, the current champion won the title in Saudi Arabia.
It's still not a pay-per-view, though.
I mean, it is a pay-per-view. It is.
It's
WWE
not.
Network
It's not.
special.
It's not. Here's the thing. To me, in my eyes, yeah, fine. It's got the pay-per-view name. Yes, of course. I know. Understand that. To me, it'll always be a house show. And that's how it is. To me, it's always going to be a house show, because house shows, just like we get here at the War Memorial here in Syracuse at the old barn, there's no storylines to them. It's and the difference, the main difference between a house show in Syracuse, New York, versus a big show in Saudi Arabia is these guys are the Saudi Arabian folks. The government are paying a boatload of money to say, Vince, I want Goldberg. I want Undertaker. I want Brock Lesnar.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the same way WrestleMania, though. These guys compete at WrestleMania because it is the big payday.
WrestleMania is different because there's most of the matches have some sort of build.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 85% of those matches have a really good build.
Well, we're starting to see more build with these matches now. When the Greatest Royal Rumble came around, yeah, a lot of the matches didn't have build, but now they're starting to treat this as the monthly pay-per-view. During February, there are no pay-per-views except for this one. They didn't have the February pay-per-view and a March pay-per-view, and this snuck between. This is the February pay-per-view. I remember last year, Crown Jewel was the September pay-per-view, whatever. I'm just saying, look at it like this. I want to just kind of go over this real quick and tell me if this was your WrestleMania card, if you were just in a coma, you woke up and I said, here's what you're getting for WrestleMania. You're going to kick off the show, Brock Lesnar as champion, taking on Cain Velasquez for the championship with Rey Mysterio. He makes his way in the WWE, still his only WWE appearance, even though we expect him to be doing more. Okay, they had the big 9-man tag team turmoil match. They got everyone involved. Reminds me of like WrestleMania's Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Okay. The Mansoor Cesaro match. Yeah, that's a throwaway. That's just a special attraction. But Tyson Fury, Braun Strowman, that's the kind of WrestleMania special. That reminds me of Big Show, Floyd Mayweather,
Again,
the kind of thing there.
It's
no
big bucks. Big bucks.
Yeah, but I mean,
Big
what
bucks.
was Floyd Mayweather doing against Big Show? That was a WrestleMania match.
Big bucks.
Same. So
Big
Tyson
bucks.
Fury,
That's
Braun Strowman. Yeah, I mean, that's not that's
To
that's
me,
the celebrity of WrestleMania.
This is just a hyped up. It's a hyped up house show. That's what it is. It's a hyped up house show.
Well, what makes the difference between a hyped up house show and WrestleMania? Or a hyped up house show and any pay-per-view?
I just said it. It's because there's storylines involved. Most of the matches at WrestleMania have a storyline involved. I mean, even that little Undertaker's John Cena thing, did we not like it? Yes, we agree on that. But there was still a little bit of a build. There was still a little something there.
Bray Wyatt and Goldberg got a little bit of a build going on.
That was, if you call that a build, that's not really a good build. They're both,
Bray Wyatt and Baron Corbin. I mean, that's been going on for months.
Here's the thing: the Goldberg and Bray Wyatt thing. We're gonna do it via satellite. Yeah, we're just gonna have a side by side.
That's how Goldberg would do it anyways. If Goldberg was taking on Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, it would be the same thing.
Goldberg was when he had his championship run. He was making appearances in the arenas at Monday Night Raw.
Well, he was the current champion.
He was still showing up. He wasn't in Goldberg's garage. You know, you're next. Like, come on.
Oh, okay. So if he showed up on SmackDown, picked up the mic, and said, "Bray Wyatt, you're next," and walked off, would that be any different to you? And a lot of people, and here's the thing: you talk about appearances. A lot of people are thinking they're going to give him the belt at Super Showdown. He is like, we're going to have a major title change at Super Showdown. The WrestleMania build, WrestleMania main event.
It's not happening.
Roman Reigns, Goldberg, one-on-one is going to be in part of Super Showdown. That's that's what a lot of rumors are having. Roman Reigns is going to win the Elimination Chamber for a number one contendership, and Goldberg's going to win the belt.
I don't see it.
But like I just said, Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin, I mean, that's a current storyline. That's a fresh storyline.
Yeah, but that storyline needs to go. Baron Corbin's awful. I mean, I can't buy into Baron Corbin. And here's the thing. The only reason why Baron Corbin is King Corbin is because Drew McIntyre had an illness before the King of the Ring. They changed that whole script. That was all reported out there, and Drew kind of made comments about it, like, yeah, they pulled me because of the, this and that. So he was supposed to be the King of the Ring. So Corbin just kind of got thrown in, and they've ran with it. Is it good for Corbin? Yeah, because he's got a lot of stock right now. But the character just
Miz and John Morrison taking on the New Day. I mean, the New Day. Miz and John Morrison had to win a match to get that.
Oh, come on!
You don't think that's got a storyline to it? I'm not saying these have grand storylines, but WrestleMania a lot of times doesn't have grand storylines. If you remember, Hogan and Rock, that WrestleMania took place on March 14th. Hogan drove the truck, NWO style into the Rock about 2 weeks before WrestleMania. People forget that match had 2 Monday Night Raw builds.
I'm just saying WrestleMania.
Hogan attack Rock, and then the next week they just announced the match, and boom, there it was.
Here's the thing. With these Saudi Arabia shows, there's hardly any build for any of these matches. They're just thrown together. That's the thing. WrestleMania is not like that. The most of WrestleMania is not like that. It's like an accumulation of the whole year, the whole WrestleMania, the whole wrestling year, where you have these storylines. Where, like, remember when Daniel Bryan won the championship? It was like the underdog story. Like, it was built for so long. That's what WrestleMania is different. That's why WrestleMania is WrestleMania. And Showdown to me is like it's like a Starrcade to me. That's what it is. It's just a overhyped show. And I mean, Starrcade's done terribly now, anyways. But it's like an overhyped house show. That's really what it is.
Well, I mean, a thing with WrestleMania this year, and I guess, we'll see if we'll find out. I get what you're saying. They have more longer term storylines, more than just the builds in general, like more than just a few week builds. They have month build, the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania. But, Elimination Chamber happens on what I believe is March 11th, and then WrestleMania is less than a month away. So about 4 Monday Night Raws between them. So, and there's lots of times. I'm just saying, there's lots of times where I'm at WrestleMania, and a lot of those matches were made the Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania. There's lots of times where I've gone to WrestleMania and I've said, what is this match? And somebody behind me says, last week on SmackDown, they announced this match. that kind, like a U.S. title match or something.
Well, that they do that to Phil.
Yeah, well, I mean,
they do that to Phil.
So not everything is this big long. I mean, there's lots of times where Goldberg comes out on Raw and he's like, this weekend.
Check the tape. I said the majority of matches on WrestleMania are drawn out storylines. I'm just saying. I'm not a fan of the Super Showdown. I never have been. I don't know why they make such a big deal of it. It's just Saudi Arabian people, the Saudi Arabian government.
What if the matches had a little more build, like a regular pay-per-view build? Okay, still had all the stars.
If there was a little more storyline, sure, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
Would you then say that it starts to detract from WrestleMania because of the fact that when you turn it on, it looks like WrestleMania? If I went to WrestleMania and that's what that was the entrance way, that's the ring. The firework. I mean, it looks the same to me.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
I get it that I don't have the access to go to, but the event itself.
If they built it the right way, yes. If it was not just a special attraction,
I mean, I don't want it to be. That's the thing, and that's why I think a lot of fans treat it like a house show because they don't want to acknowledge that 2 weeks before WrestleMania, when they're going to see Brock Lesnar and Goldberg and Undertaker, that those guys are doing the same thing, also in front of fireworks. Also in front of 70,000 people.
Here's the thing.
Also in front of an awesome set.
Most people would agree with my sentiment on it. So
yes. And
it's better for WrestleMania anyways. It's better.
I want WrestleMania to be WrestleMania.
Yes,
I want the show in Saudi Arabia to be nothing.
The reason this happened is because Saudi Arabia just threw a lot of money at Vince.
I guess my thing is, the worst case scenario is I'd rather these Saudi Arabia shows take place kind of between SummerSlam and WrestleMania where they can be huge events by themselves. I don't want it to be right before. I don't want right before WrestleMania the Undertaker's return to be here or something like that. That's the cool thing about WrestleMania.
Perfect time, September, October. There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Heel to Face podcast. Find us on Twitter if you've got anything to say about that.
Yeah.
About the Saudi Arabia shows, or find me on Instagram even at KRockJared.
You'll agree. You'll agree with what I'm saying.
All right. For Brandon the Icebreaker Clements, myself at KRockJared, we've got some great things planned for the show, trying to get us on Spotify, so we'll have more avenues to go. Maybe some people popping in studio to give their opinions on what they think. We'll talk NXT TakeOver next week, what happened at the event, and talk about NXT in general in the WWE landscape. Maybe we'll finally return to talking about AEW. We haven't talked about that in a little bit.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll talk about all this stuff next week. This has been the Heel to the Face podcast. Until next week.